guys, and like I said, I'm not even saying Tyler Counter is a world beater at that. So let's get back to the task at hand here. These pigtails. Peter Sweeney, Wissahickon sophomore, 13-17, against Campbell Wolof, a Westchester East junior who's 20-14. I'm taking Wolof, the junior from Westchester East. Had an opportunity to see him this year. Came away impressed with what he's able to do. And that's why I think he's going to win this first round match. Ryan Deli Campagni gets a bye. And we'll move down to Jack Samar, Great Valley sophomore, 17-15, and Jake Wheeler, a Quakertown sophomore, 11-13. I'm taking Wheeler. Again, I like these young Quakertown kids. There's a lot of them on this team, a lot of sophomores. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in a year or two. And I'm going to take Wheeler here. Maybe can be viewed as a slight upset, but maybe not. We have Connor Burzis, a Downtown East senior, 27-11, against Noah Hoops, an Octorara senior, who's 19-13. I'm going to take the Downtown East senior, Burzis, for the win. And after winning, he'll get Brad Mallon, a Happer, a Horsham junior, 23-8. But I'm still taking Burzis. These Downtown East kids, again, well coached. Been in big matches before, so in my opinion, these guys be ready to go. Horvath and Cummins and company will have them, have these guys just ready to wrestle and compete. Alex Murtaugh, a Downtown West senior, 24-16 on the season, and Jake Wheeler, I got Murtaugh winning, setting up a Downtown East West semifinal there, which we'll come back to. And then we have Isaac Avellino, Plymouth Whitemarsh sophomore, who was the runner-up with a record of 5-6, and Ryan Della Campagni, a junior, record of 20-15. I'm taking Della Campagni for the win to get to the semis, and Tyler Callner beating Wolof. I have Callner beating Della Campagni, and I have Murtaugh punch his ticket to regionals beating Burzis. So if we drop down, let's clear up this consolation bracket. And we have Wolof and Avellino. Now Wolof winning, getting the Consi semis, and Wheeler and Mallon getting to the Consi semis against Della Campagni. But Della Campagni is going to be too much for him, and going to put him down into the 5th and 6th place match. And Burzis is going to be too much for Wolof. And then with Wolof and Mallon, I believe Wolof will win to take 5th, Mallon 6th. I got Della Campagni taking 3rd, Burzis taking 4th, and Callner, sorry about that, Callner beating Murtaugh to take 1st place. So here's your District Central champion, Tyler Callner from Ruston High School. Moving on to 145 pounds. So we have here in the first pigtail Ben Malton, a senior from Wissahickon with a record of 10-14, against Brody Monagle, a Westchester Ruston senior, record of 14-14. Got Monagle, again, coming out of that Westchester Ruston program. Just, again, another program that I like watching the team wrestle. Tons of guys on the team. A lot of competition within the wrestling room, and we could then, if you want to go even further, I said this is what I base upon a lot of it. I ran matchups between these two. I looked at level of matches wrestled, who they wrestled against, level of competition, and Ruston has a more difficult schedule. So Monagle's been through more of a ringer than Malton has, and that ultimately was what led me to lean that way. Then we have Gavin Hale gets a bye. We'll talk about him when we get to his match. We have Chris, Balecki from Sun Valley, a sophomore, record 13-11, and Nicholas Hadley, a senior, record 22-9 from Quakertown. Hadley will get the win there, get into the quarters. We have Tyler Blum from Westchester East. He's a junior, the record of 14-12. And we have Jet Lucas Murphy from Downtown East, with a record of 5-12. I'm going to take Blum for the win in that Westchester East versus Downtown East matchup. Blum, for his efforts, gets August Gershwin, a senior from Cheltenham. Looking to do big things this postseason this year, and Gershwin will not disappoint there and get the win. We got Nick Hadley against Nick Barnhart, a sophomore, 20-4 from Avon Grove. I'm thinking Barnhart for the win there over Hadley. And we have up here in his next quarterfinal Zach Fisher, Plymouth Whitemarsh Jr., who's 22-9, and Gavin Hale. I'm going to Hale. Watch this Downingtown West team too many times this season, and the Hale brothers, Gavin and Maximus, they're just just watching that team wrestle. It's fun. The way they come out and they compete and do what they need to do to win matches, and they're relentless in their attack. And I feel Gavin Hale doesn't come out and impose his will in a match like this with Zach Fisher. I'm going to go back to Brody Monagle and Brent Windle. Windle's a kind of a an interesting situation. He's only wrestled 11 matches. He's been in the mix to go to states before. He just missed some time with injuries and some other stuff going on. That he only got 11 matches in, but he came back. One of his first matches back was against Dan Mancini and from Owen J. Robertson. Handled him. I mean, in district duels, just handled him. And it's a testament that the hard work that he's put in and what the staff down there at Coatesville is doing. So I got Windle winning here. Got Windle beating Hale, remaining undefeated, and then I got Gershwin beating Barnhart to set up that Gershwin-Windle final. But first, let's talk about these consolations. Got Monagle and Fisher. I'm going Fisher on this one for the win. And here we got Hadley and Blum. I'm going Hadley. Said these constant semis at Barnhart and Fisher. And I got Barnhart going on, so Fisher dropping down to here. And I got Hale beating Hadley. Hadley dropping there. Got Fisher finishing 5th. Hadley 6th. Hale 3rd. Barnhart 4th. Go up here. Taking Windle. Call it a hunch. Call it a call what you want. I just think until I see Gershwin take that change in levels, I'm gonna take someone a more a wrestler with more. I guess I don't want to say hardware because Windle hasn't won a state medal yet, but a wrestler who's been there and won matches there, and Gershwin just not there yet. And maybe I could be wrong. Could be the case with some of the guys I picked against last year that just proved me wrong time in and time again. So it could be one of those cases, and it's nothing against August Gershwin, nothing personal, but show me something that and prove me wrong. So it's take that as a challenge, not as any level of disrespect whatsoever. So prove my predictions wrong. Plenty of other people do at that. So let's move on to 152 pounds, and here's a weight class where you have returning state medalist Chase Stevens, and you got a lot below him. You have just again a lot of guys that can win matches, and not just win matches in this tournament. They can win matches in the following week at regional. So it's one of those situations where could be anyone. Stevens is the heavy favorite, and we'll talk about that. I apologize for leaving this one blank up here. That's 2 mistakes. But I have in this match here Anthony Frascella, Quakertown Senior, 8-21, and Jake Newbaum at Downingtown East Senior, 16-20. I do have Newbaum winning, as you can see down here. I do have him, as we'll see here, losing in the quarters. Then we have Dan Labus, a guy I really enjoy watching from Downingtown or Westchester Ruston. He's juniors, 28-5. I'll talk more about him when I talk about his quarterfinal match. We have Caden Dalton, an Octorary Junior, 22-12, and Warren Young, a Plymouth Whitemarsh Junior, who's 18-14. I take Dalton. for the win here. Below that is Ray Martin, a Westchester Henderson Jr., who's 26-11, and Will Johnson, an Oxford area sophomore, 21-17. Going to Ray Martin. Seen Ray wrestle several times this year. Just feel he's better equipped to win that match, and he's having a nice junior season. So we have Nick Senderling from Wissahickon. He's a junior, 27-2, and Ray Martin. I got Senderling winning there. And here we have Maximus Hale, who's a freshman, 27-15, against Caden Dahl. And I got Maximus Hale winning. Again, when I talked about the Hale brothers and just what they've been able to do this season, along with that Downingtown West team, has been really fun to watch. And so both those guys underclassmen back next year. And we have Dan Labus, as I talked about, junior, 28-5 from Ruston, and Austin Jaffe, a Happer Horsham juniors, 22-9. I'm taking Labus, and here's Labus' equalizer. He's tough on top, and he'll get on top and turn you like a wheel, crossface cradle, bars, like you name it. Like, he's just tough there in that position. And I know that staff at Ruston, if things don't go his way, that's always the wild card in his back pocket. And if he can't get out on bottom, he's going to get a choice at some point in time. Should get a choice at some point in time. And I've seen him before. His staff, that staff there at Henderson with Harkins and company, they will not think twice about taking top with him, and put him on top and just let him go to work. And so, he's a junior. I saw it last year when he was a sophomore. I've seen it this year as a junior. And they're so confident in that position. He's confident. Dan himself is confident in that position. So, it's just fun to watch. It was like watching him go out and just get after people. And then we have Newbaum and Chase Stevens, senior from Coatesville, record 31-1. I got him winning. He's another guy fun to watch. Like, he throws everything and the kitchen sink at you at any given time, and it's so hard to prepare for him because he can do so many things, and he gets to his offense, he gets things working, and he doesn't allow his opponent to get into things. Even when his opponent does try things, he's so good at countering stuff. And like I said, one of the guys, there's a bunch of guys in District 1 I just love to watch. And, he's on that list. Like, he makes that short list of guys that just go out and they're just impressive and they're fun to watch on the mat. And so, but, Labus just outclassed in this match. No disrespect to Dan Labus, but Chase Stevens wins. Probably have bonus points in here. I'm taking the freshman Hale. I've been impressed with him all year. And I go back to, who have you wrestled? Who have you wrestled? And I went through matchups, and one of these things where I kind of filled out the whole bracket as much as I could without this match. And I thought about it. I slept on it. And, the sight test is what works for me. And everyone's quick to criticize the methods for which I pick and the justification for what I do or for how I pick it. But, give me better criteria than things I use and things I say. And again, I'm very, very much so willing to use different criteria for deciding and helping to make these predictions. But I got to go on what I see, and I go on what I have a hunch about. I just think Max Hale is gonna win this match over Nick Senderling. So we'll go down here. Got already revealed the drop downs. We've got Newbaum and Jaffe. Jaffe to win, but he gets Senderling after that. We got Young and Martin here. I'm taking Martin for the win. Ray Martin, but then he gets Dan Labus, who he has had the best of luck against. Got Labus beating him, and then we have Senderling and Jaffe here. Got Senderling winning, so Labus and Senderling both getting the regionals, and then Jaffe and Martin, with Martin winning, taking 5th, Jaffe 6th. 3rd place, I have Labus beating him. Again, I talked about he's a wild card, and he has that opportunity to get on top, and he just turns people, and that's the thing. Like, that's what makes a guy like Dan Labus dangerous at regionals and dangerous wherever he goes, because it's an ace up his sleeve that a lot of people don't have, and if you don't do your homework on them, that it sneaks up on you. So go back here to Stevens and Hale, and I got Stevens winning. Again, he's one of the best we have pound for pound in District 1. And he'll prove it again this weekend. Stevens is the type of wrestler that he could pin his way through this bracket, but he might not. But he has the potential and the talent to just go out and pin. And he's already committed to UTC, that's University of Tennessee Chattanooga. He does all this despite who his dad is, and I joke with his dad all the time, but I do have a lot of respect for what his dad has been able to do there at Coatesville and for that program, and Chase's example of what his dad's been able to do. He's year in and year out they're not always the most competitive team, but year in and year out, they're putting guys deep into the postseason. And again, it's a testament to the program as a whole, from youth up through middle school through high school. So, moving on to 160 pounds. Here's another weight class that's kind of wide open. There's a couple guys that come out of nowhere and win this weight. I'm not saying my picks go that way, but I'm just saying, not even close to being perfect with these, and this is all for fun, but this is one where there's a lot of tough decisions. We'll go right off the start. Isaiah Stamen, freshman from Cheltenham, 18-11, and Weston Frame from Henderson, and who's a senior, freshman versus senior. This match was decided by the fact that I'm going with the senior. I'm going with the guy who has a little bit more experience than Isaiah Stamen. Scott Burridge got the bye into the quarters, and we'll come back and we'll talk about him in a second. We have Zach Lawton, a Downtown Junior, record of 17-16, and Davis Wheeler, a Hatboro Horsham sophomore, record 22-8. I'm taking the Hatboro guy. Again, I talked about them wanting to do as much as humanly possible for their coach, Glenn Kaiser, and this will be one of those opportunities. We have Tyler Moussa, a freshman from Unionville, 19-11, and Garrett Wasson, an Avon Grove senior, 7-13. I'm taking Moussa for the win. Again, as a result of winning here, he gets Mason Novak, sophomore from Upper Dublin, who's 27-3. I'm going to take Novak for the win here. We go back to Wheeler against Giovanni Angelini, Downtown West senior, who's 22-12. This guy just, again, real physical wrestler. And goes out and gets after it like a lot of guys on his team. I'm going to take Angelini there for the win. He's just use that senior experience will be the difference in this one. We have Scott Burridge, the October senior, who's 28-7, and Zach Wakefield, a Plymouth White Marsh senior, who's 23-7. I'm going to go with Wakefield here. I mean, kind of, if you're keeping track and you're a PW fan, you might be saying I'm kind of against the PW guys. I'm not. I just, this is one where I think Wakefield is the better wrestler, and will come out on top here and get himself to the semis. And I got Hurley beating Frame. Colin Hurley, the senior or sophomore from Westchester Ruston, is 20-2 on the year. Again, the Ruston team that's had a lot of success in recent years has been fun to watch, and Hurley's been a part of that. Got Hurley and Wakefield. I got Hurley beating Wakefield there in the semis, and Angelini and Novak. I got Novak beating Angelini and getting to the finals there. Before I reveal that, though, let's go down and take a look at these wrestlebacks here. I've got Frame and Burridge. I'm going to go Burridge on this one, ending Frame's season, and that's Scott Burridge from Octorara. Then we have Davis Wheeler from Hatboro, and Tyler Moussa from Unionville. I got Davis Wheeler winning, setting a match with him and Wakefield, which there's two guys from Suburban, one American, and I got Wheeler again, solid guy. And he's going to go out and he's going to win that one for Kaiser. and qualify for regionals as a sophomore. I got Angelini and Burridge up here. I got Angelini winning 2, and then down here we got Wakefield and Burridge. Sorry about that. Got Wakefield beating Burridge for 5th. Burridge taking 6th. And then here at 3rd place, I got Angelini beating Wheeler. And then I have Hurley beating Novak for it to be a champ here at 160 pounds. Mason Novak and Colin Hurley, I think it would be a really good match, but ultimately I think Colin Hurley's just a better wrestler. This one here, though, the surprise in this weight class for me that I felt is going to be Davis Wheeler. I think he's been the guy that turns some heads here and comes out and qualifies for regionals. Like I said, his battle cry will be winning it for Coach Kaiser. Moving on to 170 pounds. We have another guy. We have some, again, tough guys here, some return regional qualifiers, returning state qualifiers. It could be any number of guys qualifying for regionals out of this weight classes. In fact, this was another one that was real tough to pick because, you do have 2 guys that are hammers in this weight class, but then, for those last 2 spots, you look, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that could 5 potentially, that could find their way there. So let's get to it, though. I got C.J. Greer, Happer Herschel, freshman, 5 and 9, and Brian Kent of Westchester Ruston, seniors, 24 and 13. I'm going Kent all the way on this one. Senior versus freshman, I would say 7 to 8 out of 10 times I'm going to take the senior, unless it's there always are extenuating circumstances. Next, Andrew DiBernardo, who I'll talk about a little bit more, is next, or gets a bye into the quarters. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Then we have Gavin Grimm, a Unionville junior, 21-11, and Austin Zubik, an Upper Moreland sophomore, 17-13. I'm going Gavin Grimm on this one. Upper Moreland, just not sold in their schedule level competition. Unionville, wrestles a little bit tougher schedule. Here's a guy. This next one, Joe Schaefer and Avery Frank. Just Joe Schaefer. I got to, again, saw him wrestle a few times this year, and sophomore, he goes. Flies under the radar a little bit because of some of the guys that are around him, but definitely has a motor, and will go with anyone. Avery Frank, a Sun Valley junior, 22-9. I'm going Schaefer on this one. Schaefer and DeSisto. Sorry, Joe Schaefer, but you're going to the Wrestlebacks. We got Gavin Grimm and Ryan Sharpless. Dr. Rare senior, who's 26-9. I'm going Sharpless on this one. We got Daniel Keller here with the bye. Both guys with a bye. But the runner-up from the Suburban American Wissahickon freshman was 21-13, Dan Keller. And Andrew DiBernardo, who's a Westchester East sophomore, is 24-6, returned to regional qualifier. And along the lines of Dan Labus, another guy that's just tough on top. The regional qualifiers I talked about as a freshman, and it just has this uncanny ability to get on top and turn guys. And so this match here, I'm taking DiBernardo to get to the semis. And in the last quarter, we have Brian Kent and against David Cox. And David Cox, everyone knows who David Cox is at this point. Cox takes care of Kent. Cox takes care of DiBernardo. And Sisto takes care of Sharpless. To set up what looks on paper to be a really intriguing final between Cox and DeSisto. Let's go down here and look at the WrestleMax. We have Kent and Keller. Got Kent moving on here into the Consti semis. We have Grimm and Schaefer. Got Schaefer moving on to the Consti semis against DiBernardo after their drop down. Now this is a rematch of a match that I saw in person where Schaefer just took it to DiBernardo. Some say DiBernardo was sick or injured or possibly both. But this is what turned my eye. It was the first of several times I saw Schaefer wrestle. I think Schaefer gets back to beating DiBernardo and Punchette get to regionals, and Sharpless beats Kent to get there as well. And DiBernardo and Kent go there, and DiBernardo beats Kent for 5th place. Set Kent's in 6th. Between Schaefer and Sharpless. Sharpless with the win to take 3rd. And we go back up here to Cox and DeSisto. I am taking Cox all the way on this one to win. Again, DeSisto hasn't been there yet, and hasn't shown me he's ready to be there yet. He's had some good regular season, but I want to see him put it together this year. And Cox just on their level right now. So we're gonna move on to 182 pounds, and again, Kevin Edwards. We got returning state medalist Kevin Edwards in this weight class, and then again just a supporting cast of guys that are going to be just battling for everything beyond him. Kevin Edwards is great example. Guys goes out and just wins matches. It's not always pretty, but he just goes out and wins. So this first pigtail, we have John Keller, Wissahickon Juniors, 15 and 17, against Nicholas Bailey, the Sun Valley Juniors, 23 and 6. I'm taking Bailey for the win. Ethan Seeley getting the bye into the quarterfinals. We'll talk about him. Come back. We have Chase Melnick, another one of these young guys from Downtown West, and Max Russell. Downtown West freshman, 15 and 9. Max Russell, Quakertown sophomore, who's 12 and 7. I'm taking Chase Melnick in this one for the win. And then next one we have Connor McGinnis, a Henderson Jr., who's 17 and 14, and Tim Davis, Oxford area senior, who is 24 and 13. I have Davis winning. And then Davis takes on Jalen Edwards from Happer Horsham. I have Davis beating Edwards, putting him down in a WrestleMax, and I have McBride beating Melnick. McBride, a senior from Coatesville, he's 22 and 10. A guy that, again, doesn't win pretty, but he's fun to watch. Watching him against Nick Douliakis in District Duels. Douliakis showed out to a huge early lead, but then he gassed a little bit, and McBride started to chip away. And there have been like 30 to 45 more seconds on the clock than actually long past what the match was. Douliakis was in a lot of trouble because McBride was storming back. And unorthodox, he hits headlocks from everywhere. In fact, in that match, he came around and hit Douliakis with a headlock right from the jump, and didn't score with it. But everyone gasped when it happened. So next quarterfinal, we have Scott Horry, a Plymouth White Marsh Jr. who's 18 and 11, and Ethan Seeley, a Great Valley sophomore, who's 24 and 7. And I'm going to take Seeley for the win here over Horry, and Kevin Edwards for the win over Nick Bailey. Edwards for the win over Seeley. Should be no surprise there. And then McBride over Davis, which will set up a rematch of last week's Chessmont final. So we go on here, we clear these guys out. Bailey versus Horry. I have Horry for the win. Set up a match with Tim Davis. We have Chase Melnick and Jalen Edwards. I was thinking it was Kevin for a second. Jalen Edwards. And I have Melnick beating Edwards. And then Melnick beating Seeley. And then Davis beating Horry. Bring Horry and Seeley down here with Seeley beating Horry. And then Melnick beating Davis for third place. Drew blanked there for a second. Melnick rallying back after a week off, after finishing 7th last week, take 3rd this week, just the way the bracket fell to him. And we have Edwards and McBride, and the same result as last week with Edwards winning. Just no one on the same level as Kevin Edwards, at least at the district level. Next week at the regional level will be a different story. But at least for this week, Edwards Edwards is the kingfish here at 182 pounds in the Central tournament. Let's go to 195 pounds. A bit of a surprise. Right at the top, we'll talk about Cole Zaff. No one thought he'd go, at least most people didn't think he'd go 195 for postseason, but he did. And, maybe felt the road for him to do the best was, maybe that's what he felt was the best route for him. So, hats off to him for making a choice. He's probably not cutting weight to make. He's not cutting weight to make 95, so he's rested, and he doesn't have to worry about that. But with that said, let's move on. Let's take a look at these pigtails. We have Dylan Rise, a Plymouth White Marsh Jr., who's 8-12, and Mario Wisnowski, a Westchester Henderson Senior, 21-12. Got Wisnowski on the win here. Lamberjack with the buy into the quarters we'll talk about on the way back up. We have Sam Blevins, an Oxford area sophomore at 16-19 record on the season, against Logan Flynn, a Happer Horsham freshman, who's 13-8. I'm going to see Logan Flynn win this match here. And next one we have Josh Willichek at Denny's Jr., who's 27-8. And Andrew Allison, an Octrara Jr., who is 19-18. I have Willichek winning here. Willichek will get Noah Wood, the Quakertown Seniors, 27-5, and Wood's going to put Willichek into the wrestlebacks. Flynn will get Hunter Katka, a freshman from Sun Valley, who's 26-2 on the year, and Katka will get the win there and put Flynn into the wrestlebacks. Andrew Lamberjack is a senior. He's 28-9 on the season. He gets Shamar Brown, a Cheltenham Jr., who's 17-12. And Lamberjack, I think, will take care of him and get himself into the semis. And Wisnowski will take on Cole Zaff in the quarters. And Cole will again, be more than ready to take on that challenge and handle him and get himself into the semis. Zaff from there will put Lamberjack into the wrestlebacks. And this Katka and Wood match is one of the better semifinals of the of this tournament. I'm going to go with the guy that has the experience, and that's going to be Wood. They were pretty even guys out there and gals like so. What it came down to is I'm going on the guy who's got just a little bit more experience and been there before. Again, I talk about these freshmen. I said earlier about Killian Delaney, and same thing with Hunter Katka. Like, I don't know if these guys have been in tournaments where there's so much at stake. So it's tough to see. And there was stuff at stake last week, and there's stuff at stake this week. Can they consistently get their emotions up and ready to go? Like, sometimes freshmen hit the wall, and these guys haven't yet. But you just don't know. I mean, they're 14 and 15-year-old kids. You can't expect the world out of them. So I'm just gonna say the experience is going to be the deciding factor here, and Wood gets the win, gets into the finals. So we got Brown and Wisnowski, and Wisnowski, I think, is gonna be the guy in this match, and get the win. And Flynn and Willichek, I got Willichek winning. And that sets up the Willichek-Lamberjack match. And I like Lamberjack to win this one. It was a tough one. Because I think Willichek's a tough kid. But I just think Lamberjack's got too much for him. Then we got Katka and Wisnowski. And I got Katka winning, qualifying for regionals as a freshman. And taking on Lamberjack for third and fourth. But here we got Wisnowski and Willichek. We got Willichek winning, taking fifth as that alternate in case someone gets hurt. Here I got Katka beating Lamberjack for third. And moving up here, no surprise, I got Cole Zaff with the win over Wood to take first at 195. There are some good guys here at 95. And you can flip the coin on some of these matches. But I think the four you get out are Zaff, Wood, Katka, and Lamberjack at the end of the day, barring any setbacks like injuries or anything like that. Moving on to 220 pounds. This one is just it's a weight class with a lot of equal talent in this weight class. Mike McGuire getting upset at Chessmonts last week kind of going into last week, he was the favorite for the Chessmont title, and he would have been the favorite for this week here for the district title. I'm not saying he's not, but he probably wasn't expecting to be where he's at in this bracket. But let's go ahead and look at the pigtails. We have Josh Fetcher, Happer Horsham freshman, who's 4-6, and Zach Davis, Oxford senior, who's 11-10. Going with the senior experience. Talking about Chris Madden at Downingtown West Junior. When we get to his quarterfinal on the way back up. We have Zach Aceto, Downingtown East freshman, 12-17, and Jesse Redmond, a Quakertown senior, who's also 12-17. Well, here I'm going Redmond. Again, it comes down to, Redmond's seen more action than Aceto. He's been around the high school game a little bit longer. Then we have Brian Castaneda. He's a junior who's 19-12, and John Griffin, junior who's 19-13. I'm going Castaneda on this one. Again, what it came down to is just a hunch. Castaneda gets Nick Sudell of Plymouth White Marsh Senior is 19-9. And I think Sudell wins this one and gets to the semis. We have Jesse Redmond with the win over Aceto, and he gets Michael McGuire, one of the top-ranked 220-pounders in our region, and McGuire will take care of him and move into the semis. Then we have Chris Madden, as I talked about, Downingtown West Junior, 19-11, taking on Mark Thompson, a sophomore who's also 19-11. I'm gonna go with Maddenat, over Thompson in this match, and then we have Alex Ramondo, who had the big win over McGuire last week. His Coatesville Junior is 17-4, taking on Zach Davis. Oxford senior is 11-10. I got Ramondo winning, and then in the Ramondo Maddenat match, I got Ramondo winning again to get into the final, and McGuire beating Sudell to get to the final to set up a rematch of last week's Chessmont final. We can take away these here. We got Sudell and Maddenat, and we have Davis and Thompson going head-to-head here, and then Mark Thompson with the win to set a match with Sudell. We'll get to that, and we have Jesse Redmond and Brian Castaneda. I have Castaneda winning, and Castaneda and Maddenat. I have Maddenat winning and punching that ticket to regionals. And with Sudell and Thompson, I have Sudell winning, also getting to, get himself to regionals out of representing Plymouth White Marsh, and then Maddenat winning third. Sorry about the 5th and 6th. Thompson, Castaneda, with Castaneda winning, Maddenat taking third, Sudell taking fourth. And it's Ramondo and McGuire rematch. I got McGuire on it. I think McGuire will be looking to exercise some demons of the of last week, and taking care of Alex Ramondo, and letting him know that for all intents and purposes, for at least that day, he's the better wrestler. So let's go into 285 and look to wrap this up as we just wind over just about an hour and 5 minutes into this. Let's just go right to the pigtails here. We have Jared Taylor, Wissahickon Senior, who's 15-10, taking on Elijah Lyons, a Unionville sophomore who is 21-11. I'm gonna go with the sophomore here, Lyons. These young guys that can put up 20-some wins as a heavyweight. They're doing something right. I'm definitely a fan of that. We have Brendan McGinley, who gets a bye into the quarters. We'll talk about him on the way back up. And we got Aiden Jeter, Coatesville, sophomores, 10-9, and Ralph Martin, a Quakertown freshman, 19-12. I'm gonna go with the freshman. Again, I talk about freshmen or sophomores, but big numbers as far as records go. They're doing something right. They have the it factor when that's the case. And you look at a freshman, like it's real hard to break in these upper weights. Anything 160 and above as a freshman, if to win matches, you have to consistently win matches. You have to have something that does that for you. And without having seen Ralph Martin wrestle, to have won 19 matches, he's doing something right in my book. Then we have Jesse Cook and Joseph Tim, Cook, the Downtown West Junior, is 19-16, and Joseph Tim, the Westchester East Junior, is 21-12. I'm taking Cook. He's a super emotional kid. Wears his emotions on his sleeve. You can tell if he's frustrated. You can tell if he's happy. You can tell all those things just by looking at him. And he goes out and he battles. I like watching him go. Like, sometimes emotions almost get the best of him, but he goes out and he gives it all he has. He's an athletic heavyweight, not a doesn't really fill the weight class out, but he goes out and he just wrestles big guys well. So we have Nick Chapman, who's a junior, 27-2 on the season from Hatboro Horsham, wrestling Cook here in the quarters. And I got Chapman winning to get to the semis. And then we have Ralph Martin coming out against Josh Walls. Again, one of our top-ranked heavies, or 285s all year, from Avon Grove, a senior, 29-3. And I got Walls winning over Martin to get to the semis. And then we have Paulo DeSanto, Plymouth White Marsh freshman, 22-8. That's got to jump out at you. 22 wins as a freshman against Brendan McGinley, a Downtown East senior, 29-5. Unfortunately for DeSanto, McGinley's just going to have too much for him. In this match, see McGinley wrestle. I know he wants to wrestle the next level. He's athletic. He can move for a big guy. He's gonna be too much for DeSanto. And we have Elijah Lyons, who came out after the win in the quarters, or in the pigtail, to wrestle Ryan Kavanaugh, the junior out of Great Valley, who's 17-1 on the season. But again, Kavanaugh's going to be a little bit too much for him. And you look at this semifinal here. This might be the best semifinal, one of the best semis, if not the best semis of this entire weight class. And just like the District 1 East, you have 4 tough guys here. And if this 4 guys play out as I have picked here, you could consider any one of them the OW. But as I said earlier, and I'll say it again because maybe not everyone watches both videos, you have a lot of coaches that submit that OW ballot before the heavyweight matches are even wrestled, not even giving the heavyweight a chance. Now, with that said, I'm sure most guys will be thinking, well, depending on who wins here, what happens will dictate how they vote or when they vote. It's always like to give the heavies their due. And I call them heavies, and I apologize. They're the 285 pounders their due, because we recently have had some pretty tough 285 pounders, and going back in the last 7-8 years, we've had a lot of guys have a lot of success statewide. Coming out of District 1, and this could be another year where we have some guys go out and do some things. With that said, we could have, depending how the bracket falls, of these guys, these 4 here, you could have, more than one of them qualify for states out of this group of 4, potentially. With that said, with Kavanaugh and McGinley, I'm going with McGinley to get the win here. He finished 3rd last week at Chestmont. I got to think that McGinley's going to get the win here over Kavanaugh. I believe Kavanaugh beat him last week, and McGinley extracts revenge. And this Walls and Chapman match, again, I joked about the battle cry for Coach Kaiser, but Chapman's tough. It's not a battle cry. I'm sure he's gonna want to win for his coach, but Chapman's a tough kid, and Walls is tough too. But I'm gonna give Chapman the nod here to get to the finals with McGinley, and more on that final in a second. So let's pull these back here. Walls and Kavanaugh. Got Lyons, DeSanto here. I got DeSanto beating Lyons to get a matchup. Great matchup with Walls, but again, let's go here first. We got Martin and Cook. Got Cook with the win. Cook and Kavanaugh. I'm going Kavanaugh to win and get to regionals. Keep this season going for him. Cook drops down here. Sorry, you already saw DeSanto won, which what leads you to believe Walls beats him. For DeSanto, again, he's a guy that's gonna be around for 3 more years after this, and he's gonna gain valuable experience, finishing 5th here at Districts could hopefully it leaves them hungry to do better next year. A lot of these guys are upperclassmen. If you look at just right here, Chapman's a junior, he'll be back. Walls is a senior. McGinley is a senior. Kavanaugh's a junior, so it's two guys that potentially finished ahead of him that won't be there next year. But let's go back and look at this. We got Walls and Kavanaugh. Going Kavanaugh, he kind of flew under the radar all year. Only has one loss, but appears to be the real deal. So I'm gonna go with him. I just felt McGinley was gonna get the better of him up there. In the semis, we have McGinley and Chapman here. I think McGinley's still a little stung and hurt. They didn't win Chessmont's last week, so he's gonna be out to win districts this week, and that's exactly what he's gonna do, is win, districts at 285 pounds. So that kind of wraps it up here, and if we look at let's go back to the beginning. If we look at the sheet here for the teams, if you want, I'm going to pick a top 4 for the teams race. I'm going to say that Downtown West, it will be your District 1 Central champion. Your runner-up will be Westchester Ruston will be your runner-up. And then I'm going to go after them. I'm going to say Coatesville will be your 3rd place team. And for the 4th place, just looking at it, I have not written anything down. Oh, you could go Henderson, go Unionville, Plymouth White Marsh, Quakertown. They all got guys. They got a lot of guys in there, but those 3, I'm pretty confident in the top 3: West, Coatesville, and Ruston. I think they'll go in order. We'll go West, Ruston, and then Coatesville. OW will be hard to say. Like I said, OW can come out at 285 weight class. If Doug Zaff blows through 106 like he did at 113, he could be a candidate for it. Killian Delaney, if he was able to win his weight class, definitely a candidate for it. If Brett Counter just buzzsaws through his weight class, he's got to be considered for it. If what I said about Nick Lilly comes to fruition, hands down, he's got to be it. Just looking through the brackets right now. If Gershwin wins it, I think he'd be considered being Wendell and Barnhart along the way. Stevens could have 3 first period pins or 2 first period pins. Who knows? He's that dangerous. So it's who knows with that. 150, 160. There's a lot of talent at 160. The winner of 160 could be considered for it. With Cox or DeSisto at 170. A2 Edwards. McBride could shock the world and beat Edwards. Zaff, if he runs through his weight class, or Katka, the freshman, able to win that weight class, again, would have to be a big favorite to win it. 220, who knows what McGuire's going to do. Raimondo wins it again. I talked about heavyweight already, so you go through the brackets. So there's lots of candidates. If I have to narrow it down I'll narrow it down to 3 guys I think could be the champ or the OW based upon my predictions. I'm gonna say Nick Lilly, I'm gonna say Chase Stevens, and I'm gonna say Doug Zaff would be the 3 guys I would think of. Now I only say Nick Lilly because of where I picked him to be. So that's just my 2 cents. Again, is all in good fun. I just think he's wrestling well, and he's due to beat somebody he's not supposed to beat. That's just how I see it. So again, thank you for listening and going through this. I hope this format. Also, give me some feedback on this format. I'm recording it right from the screen of my computer, and just let me know how you like it better. I figured you didn't want to look at me for an hour and do it. It was probably a little bit easier in my district things last year. Plus, if I was nodding off or falling asleep, you didn't want to watch that. I get it. But like I said, I'm always open to feedback. I'm going to see about possibly doing the Smartboard Showdown for regionals. It was just a lot to do for the district brackets to get on the Smartboard and do all that stuff. But definitely for sure, this was an alternative, and let me know what you think. You had the visual with you the whole time. You got kind of like the Smartboard stuff. I use the same software that runs off the Smartboard just right from my computer. Sitting at my kitchen table doing it. And so like I said, feedback always welcomed. And that's about it. Again, thanks for tuning in. Take care, and we'll see everyone this postseason.